Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Music Prophet. So, this week we are going back to the rap genre, and the last time we had a rapper, it was Concept or Eric Pettyclerc. But this week we're changing things up a bit with another Sudbury rapper who has a different style, a different approach, and is one of those hidden gems of Sudbury that if you know about him, you love his music, and if you don't know about him, you now will after this episode.
Yeah.
And so my guest today is Jor'Del Downz.
What's up?
So tell us about, tell us who you are and what your style of music sort of sounds like, and...
Well, I'm Jor'Del Downz. I was actually born and raised in Sudbury. My music used to just be, mostly hip hop. But eventually I'm just trying to be one of those guys who sort of combines everything that I like about music. The rapping, the singing, I still like hip hop beats, so lately I've just been singing over hip hop beats. And that's kind of what I do. It's genre. They call it hip hop R&B sort of deal. So yeah, a bit of a long answer, but
yeah. But I think that's a really good thing to bring up, though, because you don't really fit just one genre.
Yeah, that's why it's even weird. Like when people nothing against you or anybody who says this. It's weird when I get introduced as a rapper because it's not really my main thing, so it's almost like I'm kind of like taken aback by it, But I mean, hey, that's what I used to do, and that's it's still a big part of the instrumentals that I do vocals to, so I can understand why.
Can we jump into that a bit more? Like, genre itself?
Yeah.
Because I think that especially when it comes to what I do when I have to do interviews and say that this person is a blank artist, you have to put them into a box, but how do you see genre?
I think it's more about the sound, people think artists like Lil Peep, Post Malone, and even Akon are rappers. That's not a rapper to me. Their music might be good, but it doesn't mean that they're hip hop or rap or whatever. That's more pop / R&B to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really more about the sound of the music. I mean, the culture that they follow might be hip hop culture, which is fine, but the genre of music, like when we're talking about music, it's different for artists like that.
Yeah, that's true, because once it becomes mainstream, then also your sound will change and you start adding new styles in too. So then all of a sudden, you don't fit just one title.
Yeah. Artists like Mayday, who they do hip hop, but they also mix a little bit of R&B and reggae into their music. But the thing with them, it's like they do the whole rapping and singing and all that. It's actually a little bit more rapping. So with artists like that, it's hard to put them into one genre because of what they mix in. But at the end of the day, like, there's just a little bit more hip hop than those other two I mentioned. So it's like, but then when you get with the Post Malones and the Akons, there's no rapping in there.
Mm-hmm. It's all singing, right?
It's all singing. Unless it's like unless they feature another artist on there, like that artist is rapping, but they're still doing their thing, you know. And so at the end of the day, it's still the genre they're doing, you know.
Yeah, but I'm also kind of curious though, for you, like, where does hip hop end, and where does R&B start? What are those signs or sounds?
I think with that, it's like I think when you're like in the instrumentals, a lot of it is in the instrumentals as well. You know, because I've been talking about the vocals and, you know, this extremely complicated shit. Like, it is extremely complicated. It's very confusing. But I think a lot of it is in the instrumentals, right? You know, if you're, for example, if it's like I heard this track "Shug" by DaBaby. I'll use that for an example. As an example, that is like modern hip hop, you know, or what people call it, southern hip hop, trap, you know. And then they have artists like, you know, Merce, who is more traditional hip hop. Then you got like the genre blending guys like you know, Drake. 1 minute he's rapping, the next he's singing. You know, I think where hip hop, when it comes to R&B, you gotta have that. It's gotta have that sort of R&B vibe, and they gotta be singing. Right, but when it's hip hop, it's got to be more rap. It's got to feel more like a rap instrumental, you know. So like that's it's so complicated.
But I think you made it pretty simple though.
Yeah, that's kind of where, you know, hip hop and R&B sort of meet, and where they don't, you know.
And when it comes to singing then, because now that you're jumping into it, do you find that it's easier for you to, now that you have so much of a hip-hop background with making beats, that you can actually sing on top easier?
Like, just run that by me again? I'm just really just trying to...
Since you've done so much in hip-hop, do you find that when you sing, it's easier, or is it more of a challenge?
I always like to keep things like musically. I always like to keep things like fresh and new, sort of thing. I can only do the same thing over and over for so long, which is why I switched to doing singing. But I mean, it depends on the instrumental. You know, there's some beats that make me want to be like, okay, I'm gonna rap to this one. You know, there's other beats that make me be like, you know what? No, I'm gonna sing to this one. You know, and some artists might have a completely different opinion about it. Like, you know, they'd want to sing to the beat I'd want to rap to, or they'd want to rap to the beat I want to sing to. It's, you know, it's just about what I get from the beat, you know. If I'm really vibing with it, you know, the vibe I get from it. If it speaks to me a certain way, where it's like, you know, it could be better with rap or R&B. That's what it comes down to. I think that really defines what I'm trying to do right now. You know, I'm trying to mix. I like the hip hop instrumentals. I don't mind the R&B stuff, but you know, I grew up listening to hip hop, but I like singing. So, what I'm trying to do with this singing over beats, you know, taking what I get from listening to genres like hip hop, R&B, and even rock and metal. I'm just trying to take what I like from those and blending it. So the perfect song for that would be a track called "Do What I Can," which is it's from an upcoming project that I'm releasing on September 27th called James Stang Presents The Scorpion. It's a reference to the movie Five Deadly Venoms.
I want to hear about the background behind calling it The Scorpion and the film reference. Is that something that, like, where does that come from?
I've been working with this producer for about 2 years now. He goes by the name of James Stang, and he sent me a beat, and I recorded to it, sent it back. I'm not really getting into it too much because it's not on the album, but he loved it, and then I recorded this R&B mixtape called The Getaway, and I sent that to him.
Which year was The Getaway?
This year. May 10th, 2019, I released it. So, it was very diverse, one track. For the most part, it had R&B vocals, but like I said, I listened to a lot of rock music as well. So I kind of ventured into sort of that style of, singing. And, he loved The Getaway. He calls me a while later, maybe a week later or so, and asks me to be part of this project that he's doing with 4 other artists. And that's why it's called the Five Deadly Venoms, because I guess he's a big fan of the movie, the Kung Fu movie, which, it's a cult classic. I looked it up a little bit I was doing a little bit of research on Google. It's a cult classic, Kung Fu movie. I think came out in like 1978. Like 1978, that's like 12 years before I was even born. I was born in 90. So, basically the characters in this movie, they represent the masks that they wear and the fighting styles that they have represent different animals. So they have the toad, they have the lizard, the centipede, the snake, and the scorpion. Those are all out of order. But
it's the 5 animals.
It's the 5 animals. And because I was born at the end of the year, the snake, I had wanted that one, but it didn't work out because I guess I'm not the only one who was born in the year of the snake. So I ended up with the scorpion. But, I guess I still kind of lucked out because the scorpion is the toughest character in the movie. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that works out well.
Yeah. He asked me to be part of that. And, I was down, there's been a couple of beats I heard from him before that I would have wanted to go over. And, so I sent him another song. When he sent me beats, I sent him another song and I was rapping. And he's like, no, I want to hear more of like The Getaway. I want to hear stuff like that, so I'm like, I was kind of feeling some type of way because I like the song, but I mean, it is what it is.
It's his project. Yeah.
And not only that, right? In hindsight, it was kind of better that I didn't put a lot of rapping on it. So he sent me a whole bunch of beats. I kept asking him to send me more beats because I'm probably one of the most picky people when it comes to instrumentals that I want to work on. Probably drove him a little bit crazy with that, but everything ended up working out. And, he ended up with 5 tracks that, just like everybody else's EPs that are part of the project, 5 tracks. And the thing is, I was the third person to play the role of Scorpion. He had 2 other people before me try to fit that role. And for one reason or another, it just didn't work out for them. So I was, with 2 months to go to record the project, to finish the project, I was asked to do it, and I just jumped on it. I'm like, yeah, I got it, and with barely enough time, I think I might have, barely enough time to really, finish the last song. I somehow did it, and it's ready to be released on independent label Legendary Records on September 27th. And, I think there's going to be like digital, they're even doing, the hard copies, the CD hard copies, cause, a lot of people still listen to CDs, which, and even cassettes, which I thought was crazy, but I guess is that coming back? I don't know. I mean, I thought vinyl was a little bit more popular.
I don't know, man.
I'm not sure either. I'm digital, so I don't really pay attention to that. Like, even though the only reason why I did hard copies of The Getaway and In Downs We Trust is because I knew there were some people who still listen to CDs, Other than that, I just pay attention to digital stuff. I'm digital, so.
I'm the same. Like, I have friends who collect vinyl, but cassettes are something that, I don't know. I've seen it at merch tables over the years, and other bands release it that way and advertise that, but maybe it's a collector's item.
Maybe.
I don't know.
That'd be cool, because I don't see any more cassette players. It's, I might go to certain people's houses and see them, right? Because there's a lot of people I know who are old school, but even then, like, they're using CDs. But then again, right, there's a lot of people that I don't know who probably use cassettes or get them as like collector's items, which is really cool, cause, hey man, like, I would probably, since it's coming back in, I wouldn't mind selling a couple of cassettes, cause I mean, hey, you might as well do it if it's back in, back in style again, so I'm not opposed to it.
Yeah, I feel like cassettes are one of those things that you make a limited run of, under 50. And when those 50 run out,
then that's it.
Yeah.
You can't find those anymore. That's it. And the people, next thing you know, years down the line, the worth is, it's worth a lot. So that's another thing. Now that you mention, that's another thing that comes to mind.
Because it is valuable. I mean, I can remember an episode of Nardwar, the Canadian interviewer who was well known for handing out, like, he hands out vinyl records, albums, CDs. He pretty much just prizes artists with other artists that no one knows they like. And he did one with Snoop Dogg where he gave Snoop Dogg a cassette from the early 90s of his, I forget what it's called, but it was one of the original film he made in the 90s that was put on a cassette.
Films?
Mm-hmm. He made a short film that involved smoking marijuana, and it was a limited release. It was terrible, apparently. And even Snoop Dogg didn't have a copy of it until this interviewer just pulled out the tape of it. And Snoop Dogg was like, what? Where did you find this? Because I don't own this.
That would be kind of a nightmare for me. Like, there's demos that I recorded when I was like up from age 15 to 19 that I don't want people bringing that to me. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. Like, I don't want to hear that shit. I don't even want people like, yo, I know the words. Okay, that's cool. You know the words. I don't want to hear it, you know? Every musician's got like musical skeletons in their closet where it's like they're literally ashamed to even hear what happened with that music, you know?
And that's a theme of the Music Prophet, where almost every show it comes up where you ask someone about recording and they say how the first time they recorded, they're glad that you can't find that demo anywhere online.
Yeah. The oldest demos of me that I have are from actually from 2010, I believe, which is like, I still wouldn't listen to it, but it's not as bad as the ones a year before and the year before that and the year before that. In my opinion, anyways.
So take us back to the start. Like, what age were you when you started playing, and when did you start wanting to record?
I was always kind of screwing around with the whole singing thing. Like, it actually came before rapping. You know, I'd do like talent shows and shit, and I'd be singing I'd be doing covers of rock songs, because I'm not really an R&B guy. Now, I wasn't an R&B guy back then, you know, and I'm still kind of not that much right now, but you know, I'll still listen to R&B songs and all that, but I do rock covers, and then next thing you know, I form a rap duo with a guy who's now a videographer throughout Sudbury, T-Cross. So we did that for a little bit, you know, went our separate ways. That's when that was around after the 2010 demos. That was, 2011 came around. I started making beats. I was all over the place musically, which, you know, I don't regret at all, because that's how much I love music. I haven't stopped making beats since, but, eventually I started putting out my own like rap songs and stuff like that. And I put out my first mixtape in 2013. I was 23. I was 23. His mixtape was called Win or Die. And people were a little bit crazy about that title, you know, like they're like, oh my God, like what's going to happen if you feel like you didn't win, you know, like, and I'm like, listen, the mixtape meaning, the title, the meaning of the title, Win or Die, represents the determination that I had to win, you know, the determination I have to win. I have to win. You know, if I don't win, that doesn't mean I'm going to die, but it's going to kill me not to win. You know, that's the mind state that I had with that mixtape.
Yeah, because at that point you had spent like 5 or 6 years just making music. Mm-hmm. And then that was the time that if you were going to do it take it serious.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, 2010 was the year where I really was said, okay, 2009 actually, was the year that I said, okay, I want to do this music thing for real. So after that, man, just kept going.
Looking back, do you wish that you had started younger, or are you glad that you waited until your 20s to really start doing things?
Honestly, looking back on the music that I did and all that, I feel like I started at the right time. Cause I mean, just give me a couple seconds here. Looking back at the music that I did and all that, it was definitely, I can't see anything wrong with the time that I started. I think I'm always going to have regrets about how I went about things in music. I guess that you can learn from those mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm 29 now and, I still don't have a album out, because I'm not ready to put out an album yet. I will always keep putting out music, EPs and singles and stuff like that. But I'm not at a point where it's like I have more than 7-8 songs that I could put together as part of this big masterpiece where it's like, okay, this is the album I want to do, like I have songs for an album, but I don't have enough songs to, want to put together a theme and, like I'm like very crazy about organization, so that's a big thing for me. Even I'm always asking people like, yo, what project you think this should be on? And a lot of people are just like, well, yo, just put it all on the same project. No, I can't do that. Cause it would drive me crazy for the rest of my motherfucking career to do that shit,
So are you a conceptual artist? Like, so do you steer more towards like a Pink Floyd type album? Or is it more of just you want the lyrics and the song topics to be the same theme?
Right now with my albums that I'm doing, there's got to be something to it, whether it's the lyrics or the sound of the instrumentals. With The Getaway, it's a bit of a concept album. The Getaway, it's dark to light. It starts off dark and gradually starts to get more positive. But then at the end, it's still positive, but it sort of has this like question mark at the same time, right? You're happy and you're flying, but you don't know where you're going. You're just like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like you're leaving it as like a cliffhanger almost.
It's like, yeah, it's almost like that, I find it very hard to explain my music. Like sometimes I really don't because of it, right?
I think you covered it well though, honestly. Because there's some albums that do the same, or, some people have songs that they add in just to change the theme to make you question whether growth is actually happening, right?
Mm-hmm. And yeah, like even the question that's asked over and over and over at the end of the album. Okay, you got through all of this, all the bad shit, all of the, all the dark clouds sort of passed over you. But then the question it's asking like, okay, like, but what now? What are you chasing?
Mm-hmm.
What are you chasing? That's the, what are you running from? Are you running, are you still running from something? I don't know, like it just kind of happened that way at the same time, because sometimes I'll just write and I'll write and I'll write and I won't think about it until I'm done. And then I take a step back and then I really look at what I did. And, I'm like, okay, well, this is good, after all the revisions and everything,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of ended up like that, which I don't have a problem with it. Sometimes the stories that you write, sometimes they have an ending and, sometimes they don't, I guess,
Because you decide that, right?
Yeah.
And the best stories are the ones that leave room for interpretation for the listener to choose.
Yeah. That's it. That's good. That's a perfect way of putting it. Cause, sometimes when I think too hard about a song like The Chase, I don't know what the fuck I'm singing about sometimes But then when I look at it again, I'm like, okay, I know what it's about. Like, sometimes I get a little bit uncomfortable with writing that cryptic sometimes because I want to know every motherfucking thing. I want to know everything. But, you know, sometimes at the same time, you just gotta let it be. And, you know, I've shown it to other people and they don't give me the idea that it doesn't make any sense, you know. So at that point, I just gotta let it be, leave it alone.
Is that a goal you have when you write your music? Do you intend to make layers all the time?
The main thing that I think about, that I worry about when I'm writing something is, does it make sense? You know, can somebody relate to it? You know, other than that, I don't worry too much.
I like this song was called The Chase because I'm really interested what the chase is for you now as a musician, because now that you're changing and you're building a career, where do you want to take the hip-hop, R&B, soul sound for the next few years?
Well, right now, I just feel like I'm really starting to get it right with the sound of my music. You know, I've tried to mix different things and I've experimented with different sounds, and I think I'm finally getting it right with what I want to do, like mainly for my music, for my artistry. And so right now I'm just gonna keep going with that. Music wise. And I mean, as far as where I see myself, like what I want to do, just you know, outside of the whole music thing, I mean, really, you know, it'd be nice. Everybody who wants to do music would, not everybody, maybe not everybody. Most people, they want to win a Juno. They want to win a Grammy. They want to win this award. They want to win that award. And that's cool. If I win some of that, that's cool. But at the end of the day, I just want to make a little, obviously, make music my job. You know, everybody wants to do a job that they enjoy. And at the same time, just spread my music all over the world to people who I think would enjoy it. You know, that's all I really want to do. You know, if you enjoy my music, I'm winning. And I'm not the only one winning. You know, you're winning too, because you can hear a song that you not only enjoy, but a song that could maybe get you through a hard day, get you through hard times, you know. That's all I could really ask for.
Because that's why you make it in the first place. That's why you write and produce and make beats.
Same with, and same with me, you know, like, it's, for me anyway, man, like, it's for me and a lot of other artists, it's therapy, you know. It really is therapy to get all your thoughts out on paper and turn it into a song that somebody else around the world, somebody else, you know, from the other side of the world even can relate to.
And you've started doing that more. You recently competed in the Eastlink Tailgate Talent Search, and you've played shows in Toronto. And so where do contests and big shows like the Junos type things, how does that play a role in your view on music and the industry?
I mean, it's cool, you know. They're just going to look for a talented artist, you know. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. They win, I win, new connections are made. There's nothing wrong with it. And, another thing is, the artist gets to add that to their resume, for when it comes to local shows and festivals and all of that stuff. They get to add that to their resume, and it makes them look a lot better. It makes them,
So when it comes to the hip hop and R&B scene, what are some landmarks that you want to hit with music?
Landmarks.
Or like milestones even.
Milestones. Well, I think, I don't just want to be that guy out there doing music. There's always more to be done. I want to educate people more, raise awareness on blindness. Me being a visually impaired artist, I think that's very important. Because there's more people in the world who don't know about blindness than people who do. So I wouldn't mind it. It wouldn't hurt at all to really fix that, to really let people know that there are more differences than what they think, that it's gonna make a lot of people think a little bit harder, but it's gonna be worth it,
But especially with you, I mean, the fact that we were able to get through almost a full hour-long interview without that coming up as a thing that even needs to be mentioned, right? Like that, I think that'd be huge that through your music, you're able to actually educate people on what you can do with visual impairment, right?
Yeah, because I mean, a couple of days ago, we were having a conversation, and we're using, like, the person who I was talking to was using the, insert word here, and then rapper or artist or singer or whatever, right? And I'm like, me personally, I don't do that. I don't do a blind rapper, blind singer, black, white, Latino, female. And then you put rapper, singer, artist, whatever. I don't do that. If you're a rapper, you're a rapper. If you're a singer, you're a singer. If you're a freaking, guitarist, you're a guitarist. That shit doesn't matter. It just matters what kind of music you do and what you write about and whether you reach the people or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all that matters is the music and the audio, right?
Yeah. Even if they say it, because they'll say it till they're blue in the face, but that's all that really matters in the end.
Yeah, it's true. All that matters is that you're playing music, that you get to play music, people get to listen to it, improve their lives, and everyone's happy.
Absolutely.
So, I think that's a really good way to finish it.
All right.
It's been it was a good conversation. I'm really glad that you had the chance to come on and talk about music, because it's a different perspective on hip hop, especially. So, tell us where we can find you online, and where we can find the new project once it comes out.
All right. Well, you can find me on downzmusic.com. That's my main website, DOWNZ music spelled normally .com. I'm also on Bandcamp. If there's a lot of people who use Bandcamp. That's the same thing, downsmusic.bandcamp.com. And as far as everything else, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, other major outlets, you can find me on that as well. You just have to type in JOR'_DELDOWNZ, and a bunch of my music should pop up. And there you go. That's where you can find my music.
Yeah. And September
27th, The Scorpion, no relation to the Drake album, will be released September 27th. And you will also be able to find that on my website, downsmusic.com. You just head to the shop section. You know, if you want an album from there, you get your album. If you see something that you like a hoodie or a t-shirt or whatever, you can get that too.
Awesome, dude. Well, thanks for coming on. And that was a really good show. So,
yeah, thank you. thanks for having me on your interview, man. This was dope. It was dope.
Thanks for listening, everyone. And, this was, myself, Kyle Vine, and Jor'Del Downz. And we'll see you next time on The Music Prophet.